Today, we're going to break down what might be one of the most important medical reports of the year. We're talking about the 2024 Lancet Commission report on dementia. This is the absolute latest, most authoritative guide on how we can tackle a condition that affects millions of people all over the world. So let's dive right into the key findings. Right off the bat, we're starting with the single most powerful and honestly hopeful message from this entire report. Just think about that for a second. Nearly half of all dementia cases could potentially be prevented. Now, this isn't just wishful thinking. It's a conclusion that's based on a massive, rigorous analysis of global data, and it really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about.
So, you might be wondering, what's new here? Why is this report such a big deal? Well, it pulls together all the major research that's come out since the last report back in 2020. It basically gives us a brand new, evidence-based roadmap for anyone who wants to understand and, more importantly, lower their dementia risk. One of the things that makes this report so smart is what they call a life course approach. What does that mean? It means they don't just look at what happens when you're older. They look at specific risks and protective actions across your entire life, from childhood through your middle years and into later life.
And it's so important to understand the credibility behind this. This isn't just one study. It's the third major report from this international team of experts. It's built on decades of solid scientific research, which makes its conclusions some of the most reliable in the entire field.
Okay, so let's get to the heart of it. The report zeroes in on specific modifiable risk factors, and that word modifiable is key. These are aspects of our health and our lifestyle that we can actually do something about.
And what's the magic number? It's 14. The Commission has updated its model and now identifies 14 of these key factors. That's up from 12 in the 2020 report, which just shows you how our scientific understanding is constantly getting better and more precise.
And here they are. You'll see some familiar ones on this list, things like less education, hearing loss, hypertension, physical inactivity. But here's what's new. Based on really compelling evidence, the Commission has added 2 more to the list: untreated vision loss and high LDL cholesterol. It's an incredibly comprehensive look at our physical, mental, and social health.
Now, this is a fantastic visual because it really connects the dots for us. On the left, you've got those risk factors we just talked about. By tackling them, we can actually trigger positive biological changes in the center, things like less damage to our blood vessels, reduced brain pathology, and building up our cognitive reserve. And what's the end result? On the right, preventing or at least delaying dementia. It just brilliantly shows the path from action to outcome.
All right, let's start breaking this down. We're going to start with the factors that are most critical in our early and middle years, especially the ones that help build something called cognitive reserve.
You hear this term, cognitive reserve, a lot. It's a really fascinating idea. You can think of it as your brain's backup generator, or its ability to withstand damage. See, a brain with a high reserve can handle more wear and tear before any signs of dementia start to show up. And the report confirms that one of the best ways to build this reserve is through higher educational attainment.
But here's a really crucial point the report makes. There's a big difference between just the number of years you spent in school and what they call educational attainment. It's not about the quantity of time. The real protective effect comes from the quality of that education, the actual cognitive skills you developed, like your reading level and problem-solving abilities.
Okay, the next factor is traumatic brain injury, or TBI. And the evidence here is just undeniable and consistent. A significant head injury, no matter when it happens in your life or what causes it, raises your risk of dementia down the line.
But, and this is a really important but, the Commission offers a very balanced view here. Yes, contact sports can pose a risk for TBI, but that one fact shouldn't overshadow the mountain of evidence showing that sports and physical activity, on the whole, are incredibly good for both our bodies and our brains.
So to manage that risk, the report points to some really clear, actionable steps. We're talking about things like using proper protective gear, changing up training in sports like soccer to limit heading the ball, tweaking the rules to cut down on high-impact collisions, and this is a big one, making sure athletes absolutely do not return to play right after a concussion. All right, let's shift gears now and focus on lifestyle factors, especially the ones that have the biggest impact during our midlife. This is really where our personal choices about health and wellness start to play a huge role in protecting our brain for the long haul. This one probably won't surprise anyone. Being physically inactive is a major risk factor. But the flip side is that regular exercise is one of the most powerful brain-protecting tools we have, and the evidence for this is stronger than it has ever been.
So let's look at the numbers.
The report points to a major analysis that found physical activity is linked to a decreased risk of dementia, with a relative risk of 0.80. Okay, so what does that actually mean in simple terms? It means a significant 20% reduction in risk compared to being inactive. And get this, even just going from being completely sedentary to doing some physical activity gives you the biggest bang for your buck.
I love this slide because it gives a great snapshot of what's actually happening inside your brain when you exercise. It's not just about being fit. It directly impacts the brain by boosting its ability to adapt and form new connections, that's called plasticity, and by improving the entire circulatory system that nourishes the brain.
So if we dig into the biology a little, it's pretty amazing. People who do moderate to vigorous exercise actually have larger brain volumes. Exercise fights off that chronic low-level inflammation that's so bad for the brain. It also improves blood flow by boosting nitric oxide, and it even triggers the release of these protective molecules called myokines, like one called irisin, which research suggests is really good for our neurons.
So after going through all of this incredible evidence, what is the one single most important take-home message from the entire Lancet Commission report?
It really comes down to this powerful idea of hope and control. While it's always best to start early, the evidence is crystal clear that you can get benefits from taking action at any point in your life. It is never too early, and it is never too late.
And that really brings us to the final question. A question for you. This report isn't just some academic paper. It's a practical guide. So as you look at this list of 14 modifiable factors, the real question is, which one of these could you start to influence in your own life, maybe even starting today?